nationalistic message. Modi is anti-Muslim is the narrative that has been the strongest criticism against him for the last 10 years. In fact, from the day he was announced as the prime ministerial candidate for the BJP in 2013. Now, with Lok Sabha elections approaching, the intensity of these attacks will only increase. So can this bonhomie between the leaders of both India and UAE be the bridge over the divisions, whether in the minds of certain people or actually on ground? We'll take that question to our experts joining us in just a bit. But let me take you through the deep relationship between India and UAE and how under Narendra Modi government, this relationship has elevated in recent times. So remember, Narendra Modi was the first Prime Minister to visit UAE in 35 years. The last one to do so was Indira Gandhi in 1981. Since 2015, Prime Minister has visited the UAE 6 times and UAE President has visited India 3 times since 2014, this being the 4th visit. In 2019, the Prime Minister also received UAE's highest award, the Order of Zayed. And in 2023, mind you, India and UAE signed a historic deal for their RuPay card. Let's understand why these ties are so significant. Why is the partnership with UAE so important for India that the Prime Minister himself was there at the airport to receive the visiting foreign head? Now, UAE is India's most important partner in the Middle East. UAE is considered the second most powerful Middle Eastern country after Saudi Arabia. Good relations with UAE serves as a gateway for India into the Islamic world, and it also counters China's growing influence in the Middle East. UAE's Emir actually will be constructing a huge mall worth rupees 250 crores in Kashmir, which was a big sign of faith in the Kashmir policy and development of the Narendra Modi administration against what certain Islamic countries may say, what their position on Kashmir may be. The visit also comes at a time when the state, remember, is hosting the 10th edition of the Vibrant Gujarat Summit. Take a look at some other notable names that are going to be in attendance. Of course, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of UAE, is headlining this event. Peter Fiala is Prime Minister of Czech Republic, who will also be in attendance. Mozambique's President Filipe Nyusi, Timor-Leste's President Jose Ramos Horta. Over 50 global CEOs from semiconductor, aerospace, defense sectors will also be present for the event. The big question and the big focus today on the show is simply this. Vibrant Gujarat Summit being the occasion when the UAE President is in India one more time. Is this relationship, the India-UAE relationship, a bridge over divisions?
Hello, Moto.
Let me go across to our guest joining us. Ashok Sajjanhar is former Indian diplomat with us. Atikur Rahman, Islamic scholar, also with us. Asif Ramiz Daudi is a Middle East expert, and Pathikrit Pine is strategic affairs expert, all joining us on the show. Our political affairs editor, Aman Sharma, will also be with me in just a bit. Ashok Sajjanhar, not very usual, although it has happened in Narendra Modi's tenure as Prime Minister, but still quite unique to have a foreign dignitary, foreign head of state participate in a roadshow, which is a very Indian-like activity associated with elections. How do you see this roadshow that Mohammed bin Zayed is participating in today?
Yeah, thank you very much, Shivani, for having me on your show. You are very right. I think it's not a very usual thing. But you would recall that when the former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, was here, he'd also sort of, been treated. He was also treated to an 8-kilometer long road show. And both Shinzo Abe and his wife, they had changed into an Indian attire, what is known as the Modi jacket. And, they were waving fervently to the crowds, and to the dancers who were performing there. So it is something unusual. But then these are unusual visitors, meaning it's not very often that the Prime Minister goes to the airport to receive his guests.
Yes.
He reserves that honor for very, very special and important people, whether it was Obama or it was Donald Trump or Sheikh Hasina or, even the president of UAE, who was at that time the Crown Prince when he had come as the chief guest to India's Republic Day
So
2
why
years
do you
ago.
think he's doing this for the UAE president today?
I think you said it yourself, Shivani. UAE is very, very special. Before that, when Prime Minister Modi visited UAE on the 16th and 17th of August 2015, if my memory serves me correctly, and that was after more than 3 decades of the last visit. Because we had really, for all this period, given up on the Gulf area, given up on the Middle East, thinking that they were always sort of, looking at the relations with India through the prism of Pakistan, through the prism of Islam. But Prime Minister Modi has turned all that on its head. And as you said very rightly, he has been there already sort of, 5 times. He's been awarded the highest award by the UAE. Not only UAE, it is also Saudi Arabia, it's also Bahrain. But I think UAE is particularly special because, they have also suggested 75, they have offered $75 billion of investment in India. And India is looking forward to, it's the Amrit Kal period, the growth. And you mentioned about the proposed investment in Srinagar. It is this big
Yes.
MR mall that is going to take place. We signed the SEPA, the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, last year, which is already yielding results. It's the fastest bilateral FTA that India has signed with any country.
Yeah.
During the G20, we signed the IMEC, the India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor.
But
So,
is it really only about trade or is it about more? Let me just open this up for the rest of our panelists as well. Let me go across to Asif Ramiz Daudi, the Indian Prime Minister receiving the UAE President at the airport, both of them participating in a 3-kilometer roadshow. This is a headline statement. This is a statement in itself that India and UAE are making to the world. What do you think is the message for the Middle East?
Well, Shivani, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Can you hear me? Yeah. The message, and it's something like if you have a vision, you can create history. And the history is being created. As simple as that. Because what we see here in this region, when you have the visiting your country on these occasions, usually we think about the Republic Day celebration or Independence Day, etc. But even a vibrant Gujarat and something of this sort, it becomes something of such a big platform where you invite one of the strongest pillars and leaders of Middle Eastern countries, and he himself goes for the road show. It speaks volumes about the relation. The world should understand that if you have a proper diplomatic, set of foreign policies, and for this I have to, on your channel, I have to appreciate, I have to accept the fact that the leader is there, leadership is there, but one thing which I personally feel, being in this region, that the foreign minister, Dr. Jaishankar, he has such a brilliant policy that we can see that how things have changed. We can see the kind of relations with this region. You talk about the UAE, you talk about Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, even Egypt, everywhere. Okay. And they are welcoming India like anything, and they wish to go there, they wish to have trade, business. You think about the kind of diaspora that we have here. It's more than 35 million lakhs there in 3.5 million in the UAE, 3 million, almost 3 million in Saudi Arabia. So it tells you a lot about this. And today, when the president is there, although the history was there, for example, if you go back to 1970s, from 72, there were visits, high-profile visits, but especially in this particular time, when you think about Prime Minister of a country visiting UAE 6 times, what does it say? It means that we believe that we have to work on this and we have to make the relationship even stronger.
Okay. Are the rest of the Middle Eastern countries also receiving the same message? I'll take that to Pathikrit Pine in just a bit. But Aman, I want to come to you also because, this is an election year. there is an undertone of religious conflict or religious relationship in context of India or the Middle East. You look at the world at large, at all times, there is this Israel, Palestine conflict going on just as we speak. What do you think would be the message going out from India's point of view? Giving this reception and the UAE president participating wholeheartedly in a roadshow with the Prime Minister? And what is the message that UAE wants to give to the rest of the Islamic world?
Well, clearly, Shivani, see, Mr. Modi, if you see his history, if you see over the years, Mr. Modi has always believed in changing the rules of the game. When in 2015, Mr. Modi became the first Prime Minister of India after over 30 years to visit UAE for the first time. And some of our panelists are saying he's visited 6 times already.
Yes.
The UAE president is now presently on his 4th visit to India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, I remember when he's gone abroad, he's made a stopover in UAE many times. So these are also signals that, we value the Middle East, we value UAE as a partner. Prime Minister Modi was just last month for the COP in Dubai. Next month he's going for the inauguration of the new temple in Abu Dhabi. So all these are major steps, by India to show that, look, the West may say some things about India and elections are coming, but when it comes to the acceptance of Narendra Modi as a leader across the world, also the Islamic world, it is unprecedented, and especially him coming to Gujarat, this roadshow. Earlier I remember Prime Minister Narendra Modi hosting the former Japanese Prime Minister for a roadshow like this, and Mr. Trump, of course, came to Gujarat. So all these are messaging that, look, the acceptability of Mr. Modi as a world leader is now very, very clear.
And as a leader who's fair, right? Who's fair to India's minority. Sabka saath, sabka vikas.
Absolutely. And this is also happening, Shivani, at a time when we're seeing what happened with Maldives,
yes.
At a time. So this is also an answer to that look, India as a Prime Minister of Narendra Modi, world leaders want to come here, meet him, even go to Gujarat and hold this big roadshow. Vibrant Gujarat, of course, is the signature project of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Also, I think a big thing for Mr. Narendra Modi for the UAE president to come for the Vibrant Gujarat project. This is something that, his brainchild in 2003, perhaps the first time an Indian state went for a international business summit, which many other states in fact have copied, the successful model. So I think that is the whole big messaging that Prime Minister Modi is trying to give here by the UAE president participating in the same, he's went to the airport to receive him. They're traveling in the same car, I believe, during this roadshow. So all these are very, very interesting signals, and this goes across the world. The messaging goes across the world about this.
Pathikrit, do you believe it blunts the attack not just on Narendra Modi as the Prime Minister, but also India under Narendra Modi, that it is unsafe for minorities or somehow it is quashing the voice of Indian Muslims particularly? Do you think the way UAE deals with India today blunts that attack, or are these two things to be seen separately?
Shivani, first of all, President Zayed would not have agreed to this roadshow if there was an iota of doubt in his mind about PM Modi's Kashmir policy, about his secularism, and about the continuity of Prime Minister Modi after 2024 election. That is something I strongly believe in. Number two, if you look at whether it is Prince Salman, Mohammed bin Salman, or whether it is President Zayed, they have always been so much supportive of Prime Minister Modi that they have never bothered about what some of the elements based on their vote bank politics have been saying.
But why is that? Pathikrit, why is that? Just decode that. Why don't they fall for the narrative that sometimes also comes from the Islamic world? I mean, it would be an overstatement to say that all Middle Eastern countries look at India the same way as UAE does.
Well, Shivani, there's a tug of war which goes on in Middle East also among many of the Islamic countries. It's not that they are cohesive in every way. There is a tug of war between UAE and Qatar. There's a tug of, and many of these countries have seen the double standards of Pakistan and also of the West. So just as we do not believe anymore the Western press, the same is with the West, the Middle East. They don't care about what the West says. Let me tell you, for a long time, these Arab oil-rich monarchs were expected by the West that you would be protected only by the West, led by America, and you have to go to their foreign policy. That is the thing that they are going to come out of also. UAE was the first country which was looking for a non-fossil fuel economy, and they were looking for a partner who would not impose anything on them. India was one such country, led by Prime Minister Modi. What has Prime Minister Modi done since 2014? He has transformed the typical classical stiff upper lip diplomacy, and I mean no disrespect to that, but he has transformed the typical stiff upper lip diplomacy with personal camaraderie. And that camaraderie with very powerful heads of states actually plays a very, very critical role. Otherwise, you would not have seen this happening. Let me tell you, there's another thing. The sovereign fund of United Arab Emirates is $1.5 trillion. Where will they invest? They can't invest in Europe, which is saturated and is in a recession. They are looking to invest that in India. They have already pledged $50 billion for the next 2 years. They have already invested $10 billion in the last 5 years. They have invested in India's strategic petroleum reserve, and they support India's global south push. They are sick and tired of the Western, these institutions doing exactly what the West says in terms of sanctions, in terms of many other things. So I think in Prime Minister Modi, they're looking for an alternative. And most importantly, India has always made sure that your internal issues are your internal issues. So just as India never interferes in the internal issues of Middle Eastern countries, which Western press has done with impunity, likewise, and let me tell you, Shivani, the Western world tried the Arab Spring, something they have been completely devastated and disgusted with, something which was tried in India as well. So there are areas of convergence they find with Prime Minister Modi, and that is why they are going ahead.
Okay, I want to bring in Atikur Rahman as well. He's an Islamic scholar. He obviously, keeps a tab and debates many issues that flare up in India from time to time, particularly from a religious lens. Atikur Rahman, what do you think? What is the message that Indian Muslims will also get, if at all, from this visit? Would it matter to them that such a big, successful Islamic country like the UAE looks at India as a partner and, unlike certain other Islamic countries, does not want to use the religious or Islamic prism to deal with India? It recognizes India for what it is. They are who they are.
Well, Shivani, these moments are moments of pride for the people of India. And of course, the credit goes to the Prime Minister of India that he is having very, very good relations, sound relations with the Arab nations, especially if you mention they are Islamic nations. Now, I would rather say that you said that I should get a message from UAE. I would rather say that India should get a message from UAE that they do not mix up religion with state affairs. For UAE and the Arab nations, and for me, myself also, religion is a dogma which the Indian Prime Minister and the cohorts of the ruling regime never, endorse it. Religion should be treated as a dogma, never to be mixed up with state affairs. That's what UAE and the Arab nations have always done. There is pork, there is beef, and there is all the halal and the non-halal meats sold in UAE and all the Arab markets and their malls. Wherein what does the Indian government does? In UP there is a ban on the sale of meat products. Halal meat is banned, which the Supreme Court the other day called for explanation from the UP government. So these are the affairs wherein this lets down the people of India, that we were the people who taught secular credentials to the world, and now we are learning the same thing from the Arab nations, the Islamic nations. Second important point, Shivani, is these are the same Arab sheikhs. When they fund our Indian madrasas, you and the BJP people say that is being utilized for terrorist purposes.
Well, that is why I made a distinction between
scholars. Let me complete, Shivani.
No, 1 second. You are quoting me, but you are quoting me absolutely out of context, first of all, and wrongly.
Okay, maybe I am wrong to quoting you.
Yeah, I have just now on the show said that not all Islamic or Middle Eastern countries look at India the same way. Not
Fine.
all of their policies is the same towards India. But you may continue.
Shivani, the BJP people, I mean to say, another important point is the same UAE and the Arab scholars, they went addressed to us that there is nothing common with Hafiz Saeed like terrorism and Quran and the Prophet. We do not endorse Hafiz Saeed, but day in and day out, Quran, the RSS people, Quran and Prophet Muhammad is equated with terrorism. So we need to learn many things from the Arab nations.
No. I think you're confusing. Once again, you're confusing politics on Islam or Islamic politics with religion.
No, in fact, I said.
Once again, can I just say two things? You brought up meat ban, and I think you particularly mean beef ban. First of all, beef ban has existed since times of independence in India, mostly under Congress rule. It has nothing to do with the BJP. The BJP didn't exist at that time. But yes, not killing cows and not eating beef is a fundamental aspect of the Hindu right. I'm not denying that. You mentioned, why should we learn from what we are told to learn from the other countries, but we are, more secular. Can I just remind you of the latest hijab controversy, for example, in secular state schools? And that is when a lot of the examples of Middle Eastern countries, other Islamic countries were brought up to say that even they don't allow this. Look at triple talaq. What was the debate around triple talaq? Triple talaq, the practice banned in most Islamic countries, was being defended by Islamists in India, I would say, not by Muslims alone. So you're confusing what is faith with what is politics associated with religion.
No, may I answer this, Shivani?
Yeah.
Shivani, you need to take the fact into account that UAE and the Arab nations are majority Muslim states. That's why they do not take hijab that seriously as the minority Muslims of the Asian nations take it. Since you make the minorities in India insecure, the women go for hijab or covering of their faces and their heads. That's what we pinpoint the argument. You make the environment safe and see how our women will be throwing off the hijab.
I think that's a rather
majority Muslim states.
No, I'm sorry. That's a rather controversial argument to make. And I must say, I'm hearing this for the first time, that because the safety environment is bad, therefore for minorities there should be separate rights. But you just hailed Indian secularism, that it is supposed to be better, and Indian Muslims were the vanguards of secularism. But when it comes to hijab, somehow they need greater protections than all other Muslims all around the world. And I don't think it is about safety. Look at what happened under Taliban in Afghanistan. Young girls, as young as 4-year-olds, are being beaten to wear hijab. Now it's an Islamic country under the rule of an Islamic government. I wonder what is the security issue there. So let's not fool ourselves. This is exactly the point. I think Patrick wanted to come here. This is exactly the point. Religious politics or politics, Islamist politics has become this, this whole sphere where sometimes you cannot argue with it with logic. If somebody wants to say India is intolerant, that minorities don't have their space today in India for the last 10 years, there's no disproving it because people don't want to change their minds.
Let me correct one thing, Shivani. The UP ban is on non-meat halal products, not on meat. So,
and the ban on slaughterhouses was also on illegal slaughterhouses. I don't understand how illegality can be defended on a matter of faith. I don't understand it. Anyways, go ahead.
Let me tell you, I have been to Turkey in a transit. I have met a lot of Syrians before the war. I find those countries extremely modern. Iraq has been very modern, unlike, unfortunately, many with all due respect, Dr. Atikur Rahman. I strongly believe that, President of UAE and the Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arab have far greater wisdom than most of us sitting over here. So when they endorse what the Prime Minister of this country has done in terms of secularism, we have to respect that.
No, and but can I just say, Pathikrit, let's be honest that there are certain moderate Islamic countries and more fundamentalist Islamic countries. Now, UAE may be one of that models of a moderate Islamic progressive country. They have very different beliefs over what should not be the life of an ordinary Muslim. But that is not the true, that is not what all Islamic countries agree on.
I'm not saying that. All that I'm saying is this, that, unfortunately, what many like Dr. Rahman is not mentioning, that when a temple is coming up in Ayodhya, there is a mosque also coming up in Ayodhya. And that is the beauty of India's secularism, which has been upheld by India's Supreme Court, and everybody respects that.
Okay.
You know, unfortunately, there are certain things that he is mentioning which does not suit on today's debate. Let's understand there are so many Indians who work in Middle East, and if some of them had done some of those unrest things that were done on a daily basis in this country, they would have faced far better, bigger punishment than what they face in this country. So let me tell you, if we talk about those countries like UAE and Saudi Arab, please also, I would ask Mr. Rahman to talk about the discipline and the rule of law that they follow, which unfortunately in India, if the country's government tries to impose, then they talk about, oh, you know, democracy khatre mein hai. So you cannot have double standards. And
Yeah,
as a country,
I think the main problem is what came out with Mr. Rahman's argument was that when we are in majority in Islamic countries, our ideals are different. But because we are a minority in India, we must be treated differently. I think, Mr. Rahman, with due respect, that is precisely the point of view and the mindset which is under challenge in India today, that minority or majority, you cannot be treated differently, and there cannot be exceptionalism because there is a Muslim minority in India. What goes for Muslims in Islamic countries should be acceptable for them here. And in many cases, I mentioned hijab, I mentioned triple talaq, and there are examples like that. For example, Muslims in other countries will not mind common civil code, but in India they vehemently oppose a uniform civil code. So I could give many examples of how exceptionalism has been created over a period of time, but that's a separate debate. I didn't want to debate that particularly, but I want to just debate the message that, you know, UAE is sending with its friendship to India, to the rest of the world as well, which will be hearing the same diatribe and the same narrative against India, and particularly Mr. Modi. So Mr. Asif Ramiz, let me bring you in one more time. Do you believe that that narrative is successful, that India and Mr. Modi are anti-Muslim under him? Or do you feel that over the last 10 years, the term and the actions of Mr. Modi and his government have spoken, and those issues no longer are believed at the drop of the hat as they used to, let's say before he came into power?
Shivani, to be very honest, when we talk about religious issues, minorities issues, and taking lessons from the UAE and other progressive nations, let me tell you, India is such a big country. It's a huge country. It has 1.4 billion population. So if we are very honest, we can't say that there are no problems there at all. I don't agree that there are no problems with minorities. I don't agree that there could not be any problems. I don't agree that there is no lynching. But the thing is that how these things are being taken care. Whether we have judiciary, whether we have democracy, whether we are trying to solve this problem or not.
Okay.
And that is the point. So I think it's being a big country, being a big nation, we have issues, we have problems, we have ideologies, we have ideological differences, and these things are quite normal. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down.
Right.
But when it comes to have the proper relationship with the Muslim countries, I give, you know, to have this kind of relation, that all these nations, they want to have good relations with India. I tell you, we should take lessons. We are the secular countries. Let me tell you one more thing about Pakistan, for example. We see how minorities are treated there. Absolutely. From 23% to 3%, you know, and they just disappeared. So they should also take lessons. We should also take lessons everywhere else. It's a message for the entire world that the coexistence should be promoted.
No, you're right. And all of those sanctimonious messaging and, you know, virtue signaling to India alone doesn't work if those same people don't raise any issues with countries like Pakistan, countries, what has happened in Afghanistan, what has happened over the last 50 years in Bangladesh. The percentage of Hindu population in Bangladesh has, you know, come down to single digits, almost just 1 or 2%. So that no longer works as a diatribe against India is the point I was making. But I want to give Ashok Sajjanhar 30 seconds before we wrap up. Is this relationship, see, the fundamental point is this relationship going to change that narrative? Or these two things are just separate? We have to live with the reality that there will be those who will be opposed or attack India, not agree with Mr. Modi. There will be those who will be friends with him.
Yeah, I think this reality will continue, although, you know, whatever India does, because if you look at it, there is no discrimination on the basis of religion or caste or creed. The principle by which the government works is sabka saath, sabka vikas. As you said, if piped water is going to be provided, if electricity is going to be provided, if food grains are going to be provided, they will be provided. Any subsidy that is being provided, they'll be provided irrespective of which religion or which caste they belong to. The other thing is, meaning I have traveled in all these countries. I was ambassador to Kazakhstan. There are huge minorities there, but it doesn't mean that, people are not going around in hijab or covering their heads. You look at Dubai, you look at Abu Dhabi, you look at Oman, the population of the foreigners, of the non-residents is much greater than the population of the citizens there.
Yes.
So it is not a question of security as Mr. Rahman seems to suggest.
Forget, can I just say, I'm sorry, but this was so out there an argument that because that hijab was insisted upon by Muslim women in India or Muslim men because of safety. Why is it happening in Iran? Why are women being killed by morality police in Iran for not wearing hijab? Is that a safety issue in Iran? I mean, it's just shocking that we can deride India, our own country, and its safety for women, which may not be great, but it is certainly not worse for Muslim women alone. If there are safety issues for women in India, they are for all women. It has nothing to do with Muslim women or Hindu women or Christian women. So these are just arguments that should not be made, because they just have no logic to it. I want to give 30 seconds to Aman as well. Aman, lots to look forward to as far as this bilateral relationship is concerned?
Absolutely. And I think Mr. Modi has made one thing very clear, that foreign relations have nothing to do with religion. They are not hostage to religion. Foreign relations, diplomatic relations, Mr. Modi has changed the rules of the game. Today, UAE is the third biggest trade partner of India. India is the second biggest trade partner of the UAE. And after these pictures today, Shivani, in a few days, we'll see Mr. Narendra Modi in Ayodhya for the Pran Pratishtha ceremony. So I think all these messages are very clear. It's out there that Mr. Modi, of course, we are proud of our legacy, of our history, and for maybe also the Ram temple. But when it comes to diplomatic relations, be it with UAE, they should not be hostage to religion.
Dichotomy.
Okay. All right, I'll leave it at that. I do thank all our guests for joining us and engaging in this debate. We'll, of course, keep tracking the roadshow as well, but I have to slip into a very short break. On the other side, we'll get you the use of CSR funds for government work or development work, even as something as basic as roads, has come under scanner. We'll get you more in just a bit.
Hello, Moto.
Co-powered by
menemukan salah satu dari dua black box yang terpasang.
Yeah, so Boeing stock is down significantly today, driven by the fact that a panel from a 737 MAX 9 blew out unexpectedly mid-flight. So that just obviously has both consumers and investors scared and worried about the future of the company. Boeing shares will probably struggle here for a little bit, as like you said, investors are worried. There's just an emotional reaction even to owning a stock with negative sentiment like this. So we do think it's going to be choppy. There'll be more volatility for the stock, but as they do investigations and we really understand what went wrong here, we think, like I said, this will be a one-time event, which ultimately will help just the stock rebound, as we learned that this really isn't a Boeing mass issue. This is quite a bit different than the two crashes that we had with the earlier 737 Maxes, because those were a technological software issue. This is just a mechanical issue within the fuselage. And like I said, from all evidence so far, this is a one-time event. So I think these are quite a bit different. Obviously, the fact this wasn't deadly either helps with that cause. But we see this as just a mechanical breakdown of a part within that fuselage, and not a mass issue across the 737 MAX 9s. Due to the fact that we see this as just a one-time event, and a lot of the dip in the stock is just on fear, that's usually the best time to get into a stock, because it has become oversold. So we see this as a short-term drop in the stock and a buying opportunity as we begin to get more information that will help the stock rebound. Right now, Boeing is going to be in a little bit of a damage control situation. They'll obviously make press releases, and they'll try to articulate the fact that this was just a one-time event and what they will do going forward to help keep this from happening again. But once again, this will happen. These are not perfect machines. Things can go wrong. So I
Welcome back. Already reeling under a heavy debt burden and exorbitant cost of guarantees, the Karnataka government is now facing heat over CSR fund decision. Bengaluru civic body BBMP is seeking corporate social responsibility funds in partnership with private firms to build and maintain roads. The 12 Bengaluru roads have been identified for maintenance model. BBMP will grant private companies branding space instead for them to be able to build and manage these roads. Firms will have to maintain footpaths and cycle lanes, and the cost estimated for the plan is around 50 lakhs per kilometer per year. Now, this move has sparked a controversy regarding the implications of using what is CSR funds meant for other purposes for even basic things like road constructions and not social welfare initiatives. Critics argue that CSR funds should be directed towards social upliftment projects, while others view this as a necessary use of resources for community betterment. Let's also take a look at why this move is coming under greater scrutiny, because remember, the new Karnataka government, Congress government, has already been criticized quite a bit for a very hefty cost to the exchequer for the 5 big guarantees that they promised to the public, and they seem to have been successful in being voted to power. The state is already under deep debt. We'll obviously know the extent of the debt next financial year after the costs of these guarantees is calculated. But take a look at the cost of these guarantees that the Congress government has found quite problematic to implement. Griha Lakshmi scheme with an estimated annual expenditure of 30,000 crore rupees. That is providing 2,000 rupees to a woman head of a family. 14,000 crore annual expenditure is estimated for the Griha Jyoti scheme, which is free electricity up to 200 units. 10,000 crore annual expenditure for Anna Bhagya scheme, which is providing 5 kilograms of additional food grains to those eligible. Shakti scheme, which assures free travel for women on state buses, estimated allocation of about 4,000 crores annual expenditure. So while all of that is going on, it seems the state has little money to even build and keep up roads. Is this because the guarantee schemes are burdening the state? That's the big question we take forward with our guests. Madhu N. Rao is spokesperson of the BJP joining us. Bhavya, Narsimhamurthy from the Congress party. I also have B.S. Arun, senior journalist, joining us. Bhavya, I want to begin with you. Just last month in December, there was also reports that the government wants to use CSR funds for the refurbishment of health centers in certain districts. Now the report comes that you want CSR funds for road upkeep and, to build roads. Why don't you have the money to do this and let CSR funds be used for what they're meant for? Bhavya, I think you've muted yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
So I want to set some facts straight here. So under BBMP, there are 18,000 kilometers that comes under BBMP. And this particular news that we are speaking about, it's about 12 to 13 kilometers. I have spoken to the genuine sources from where I have got this information that the BBMP is not asking for CSR fund due to dearth of funds in BBMP. When we can do 18,000 kilometers, 13 to 12 kilometers won't be a problem. And this also is not for the asphalting or, maintenance of the roads. This is for the footpath. Usually these, even before the CSR rules came out in 2004, there was a social responsibility exhibited by companies where they maintained these footpaths during S.M. Krishna sir's regime when he was the chief minister. The same thing, if the corporates come forward, it was only for 12 to 13 kilometers that they've been given a chance to exhibit what they want to portray there. Like they want to do these.
If I have it correctly, this is a pilot project. If I have it correctly, this can be called a pilot project, right?
This is not. So basically, they want to come and showcase. This is not at all because we are dearth of funds.
Okay.
Not at all. Because
1 second.
12 to 13 kilometers.
It may be 12 to 13 kilometers today, but what is the guarantee? It may be 12 roads today, Bhavya, but what is the guarantee that this will not be expanded?
Because if it does not come under law, nothing can be expanded. Like how can the government go against what's there under the CSR rule? Right?
So why?
Even if
is it legal today or not?
That's exactly I'm saying. That will only happen once these corporate people come and present what exactly they want to do. If it does not come under the legal precedence, then we are not going to take it up.
Okay, then
And
what explains the fact? Okay, you are saying this is not because the BBMP does not have money.
It's only to maintain the footpaths, that too only 12 kilometers.
I get your point, but activists in Bengaluru are talking about why even those 12 kilometer or 12 roads worth footpaths should be maintained by CSR funds when those funds can go for other activities which are needed by the public. Plus, what is the responsibility of the BBMP? If the BBMP has the money to do this, is it not their responsibility? Will they not be held accountable?
Exactly, that's what we are saying. We just want to show if they want to partner, how is it they are going to do? Because they have come up with this, they're just going to give them a chance to tell us how they want to go about this.
Why
if they present what they propose is not according to law, we will not be considering. And
shouldn't the government know this beforehand, before you're even considering this, whether it is legal or not?
So that's exactly what I'm saying. So asphalting or the roads do not come under this.
Okay.
It's only to maintain the footpath, the cleanliness part of it, and the social, what the CSR is.
Okay, I take your point, but I mentioned before I came to you. Bhavya, 1 second. I mentioned before I came to you, there is a report from December, roughly 2 weeks ago, where the Karnataka Health Department said it is proposing to enhance the infrastructure of government health centers by utilizing CSR funds from private companies. Now, can you please explain to me the rationale behind that?
Has it, can you please mention what exactly has been written there if it is against the CSR rules?
I'm not asking you whether it is legal or not. It is the question about why should you use CSR funds?
it is a health sector. If CSR funds are allowed there, I don't see anything wrong in it.
But
If
why
it is
should the CSR funds fund the Karnataka Health and Family Affairs Department? Where is the budget of the department? Where is the accountability of that department?
It is about the roads. There is no dearth of funds. And like the BJP is claiming, there is no dearth of funds. For someone who maintains 18,000 kilometers of road, 12 to 13 kilometers is not a burden. That is something very common. It's a common sense.
Okay, not due to funds. Okay, I want to bring in Madhu also. Madhu, I'm quoting from this report. She's saying that this roads initiative is just a pilot project to see where we can take this. It's private-public participation. And there are other models of this kind, but not due to fund crunch. But I'm not understanding why there were CSR funds being proposed for health centers as well. And 200 government health centers across the state were to be refurbished using 100 crore rupees of CSR fund. So I'm not understanding why government is using CSR funds. Those CSR funds are supposed to be for non-government activity. Those activities outside of the government sphere.
Good evening, Shivani. I just heard what my friend Bhavya was talking. Kindly give me uninterrupted time of 1 minute. I wouldn't take much of time. The point is this. There is a corrupt government, confused CM, super confused DCM, rattled MLAs, bankrupt party and a broke BBMP. This is what if I can attribute to what is happening in Karnataka. Point one. Point two. I may perhaps have to tutor the Congress party and Siddaramaiah and Mr. D.K. Shivakumar. Kindly go and see what Schedule 7 of Companies Act of 2013 says. I think perhaps they do not know what Section 135 says. I am not too legal, but then let me tell you this one. It is to be used for NGO activities. These people do not have money to give 100 grams of rice. And they are telling about 18,000 kilometers. For heaven's sake, even 13 kilometers of road, of 12 roads, they are not able to maintain from the funds. What else can we expect from this government, Shivani? I mean, haven't we seen MLAs begging for the funds from D.K. Shivakumar and D.K. Shivakumar telling, please don't ask me funds this time? Haven't we seen 11,500 crores, what was earmarked for the SC/ST development? That money has been utilized by this government. What shamefulness can this be attributed to this government? I mean, I'm really not able to understand. Finance department of this Karnataka government says, there is no money, please don't do this guarantee. And of all, what do? Robbing Peter to pay Paul. I did not say that. Mr. Amrendra Singh Raja Waring, who was the president of Punjab Congress, he said that to the AAP government. Same thing, perhaps you are asking the same government in Karnataka. What are you doing? Where is the money? You do not have money to pay farmers. You do not have money to pay electricity companies. You have not paid ESCOMs. Where are the money going? Is this the proprietary? Is it the proprietary what expected from Mr. Siddaramaiah, who has given 14 times budget? I'm shocking. I'm really shocked about it.
1 second, Bhavya, I'll give you an opportunity to respond. Bhavya, 1 second. B.S. Arun has not spoken. I'll give you an opportunity. B.S. Arun has not spoken. B.S. Arun, I see that a lot of civic activists are really not liking the idea of using these CSR funds for road maintenance, footpath maintenance, whatever may be the actual modality. Because the question they're asking is twofold. One, this is the responsibility of the government and of the agencies that get our tax money to do exactly this job. This is the bare minimum. Maintaining footpaths is the bare minimum. It's not like anybody is asking you to add flower beds that are blooming 12 months of the year or any luxury. And if you pass on this responsibility to private players, who do you hold accountable then? Who does the citizen hold accountable and go to and say you were supposed to do this and this, this much and at this standard? This is like outsourcing government work.
Well, Shivani, actually, I'm not too perturbed by these, BBMP inviting tenders for these TenderSURE roads. These are all special roads. They are not normal roads. They are specially constructed. All these, the electricity, the water pipes, they all come under one duct. And there is a proper footpath where, only people walk, not the bikes or any other vehicles, cycles or any other vehicles. So these are all special roads. I don't know whether this has come up in any other city. It's only in Bangalore, perhaps. So these will be maintained. And what is the cost? Cost is about 5.5 crore per year, and there are hundreds of companies in Bangalore which can fund this. Number one. Number two, already there are many roads, many medians of these important roads, many roundabouts which have been maintained by the corporates, by these companies for so many years, for decades actually. So I don't see anything wrong in this. But what perturbs me is that what you mentioned about this health sector.
Yes.
And last month there was a report saying that 11,000 crore rupees meant for the SC/ST department welfare has been diverted. These are the kinds of things that really are a matter of concern, and not the small money that's spent of the CSR for these roads and medians. So that's not the issue.
Okay. Bhavya, you wanted to come in. Let Bhavya come in one more time, and then I'll allow Madhu to respond as well. Yes, Bhavya.
I would like to tell Madhu, before tutoring the chief minister who has presented 14 budgets, or the deputy chief minister who has so much experience and who is, a deputy chief minister of Karnataka, please get your basics straight. First thing, BBMP has its own budget.
Please tell me what Schedule 7 says. Please tell me a provision where it can be spent for roads. I will challenge Bhavya.
Like I did.
Please,
let her finish.
Listen without interrupting the way I did. Right?
Carry on.
Next time you come to a debate, please get your facts straight.
Carry on, come on. Carry on, please.
You say BBMP has crunch of funds. Please show me where you say this particular statement. From where you got this resource? Don't tell me your WhatsApp.
I will show you documents.
Let me tell you,
broke BBMP.
And this was only to give a chance to the corporate companies to showcase their new technology which they have proposed. We have only said 12 kilometers out of 18.
I get your point. But this is not to say that the CSR use of CSR funds was not floated as an idea for other sectors as well. I've just quoted the health centers issue. But I have limited time, so I'll give Madhu 1 minute to respond. Madhu, very quickly.
I will challenge.
Is there any proof that the BBMP is out of funds? It is supposed to be a pretty rich body. And is there any proof that they're doing this because they don't have funds?
Shivani, what are we talking? I would expect the Congress party to read the CAG report. Point 1. Point 2. Let me challenge the Congress party. Please show me a provision in Schedule 7 of the Companies Act where it says that money can be spent for road purposes. It is only road awareness camp. I mean, they don't even know the legalities. Come on. This is the IQ level of Congress. I cannot help. The point is only simple. There has been a diversionary tactic by this government. The government
one by one, please. Bhavya, let him finish now, please. Bhavya, let him finish now, please.
The government is bankrupt. They are rattled. They do not know what to do. They do not have money in their coffers. I would ask a question to Bhavya. What is the role of Mr. Surjewala to come and sit in the BBMP meeting? What was transpiring? What was the money transaction for? So let's come to the basics. It is a corrupt government at the end of the day. There has been a diversion of money. Where has the money gone? If these people cannot give 100 grams of rice, if these people cannot give 12 kilometers of road, what else can they provide? If they are wanting to outsource the roads, they can as well outsource the government.
Okay, 1 second. Can I just come in? It's not as if, 1 second, can I just come in? Just lower the volume. It's not as if the BBMP has set some spectacular standards on civic, facilities that are provided in Bengaluru, that they now want to hand over this responsibility to corporates. They should be setting an example of what they can do. The level of potholes in roads and the fact that wires are hanging over people's heads is a day-to-day affair, and we've covered these stories. But I have 30 seconds left. I want to go across to B.S. Arun. Forget this CSR initiative alone. Is the financial health of this government a problem, which they're just deferring?
That could be the case. As it is, so much of money is being spent for these guarantees, and whether guarantees are good or not bad, that's a different debate altogether.
Right.
But the kind of money that's being spent from the budget, from the people's pockets, I think is quite alarming, and I hope the government will make good that amount from some of the other, methods through which they raise funds. But so far, they have not given, they have not shown any examples of raising funds. So that is a matter of concern, greater concern.
Okay. You can have these guarantees, but you have to show how you're going to fund them without taking away from somebody else or what is actually needed otherwise in other parts of the budget. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. We'll see where this initiative goes. But I do end this show with a reminder that King Khan of Bollywood, Shah Rukh Khan, is going to be present at CNN News 18's marquee event, Indian of the Year 2023.
Shah Rukh Khan's persona goes far beyond his iconic real image. His real avatar is what has left an indelible mark in the hearts and souls of thousands who he helps every day. At the forefront of his charitable initiatives stands the Mir Foundation, a non-profit organization that he founded. This foundation is dedicated to empowering women and aiding acid attack survivors, providing them with medical support, rehabilitation, and vocational training. Beyond gender-based causes, Shah Rukh Khan has also been a steadfast supporter of child healthcare, actively participating in campaigns against child malnutrition and contributing to the construction of pediatric hospitals. He's also been instrumental in promoting child literacy. Shah Rukh Khan was honored with UNESCO's Pyramid Konmani Award in 2011 for his support of children's education and the World Economic Forum's Crystal Award in 2018 for advocating women and children's rights in India. Shah Rukh Khan has extended his financial assistance to those battling cancer and contributing to cancer research. His generosity extends to disaster relief efforts where he has consistently provided aid to communities affected by natural disasters. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Shah Rukh Khan demonstrated leadership by contributing significantly to various relief funds, facilitating the supply of medical equipment and using his platform to raise awareness. Through these diverse philanthropic initiatives, Shah Rukh Khan exemplifies a commitment to making a tangible difference in the lives of those in need.
Viewers, Prime Minister Modi and UAE President Mohammed bin Zayed coursing down the roads of Ahmedabad in an unprecedented show of bonhomie. You can see those pictures to the left of your screens. The roadshow testifies to the fact that UAE has become a steadfast partner to India over the years after Prime Minister Modi unveiled the contours of his Think West policy. Though they will never acknowledge it, India's diplomatic clinch with the UAE is a source of great consternation for many on the ideological left, politicians and experts alike. This is because the blossoming relationship undercuts the so-called left liberal ecosystem's attempt to position India as an exclusivist Hindu Rashtra, where Muslims are being aggressively pushed to the margins. This narrative is once again peaking as the nation draws closer to the date of the Pran Pratishtha of Ram Lalla's idol at Ayodhya. That's going to be happening, viewers, in about 10-12 days. You've heard the propaganda from Rahul Gandhi saying that India is ruled by the Hindu equivalent of the militantly communal Muslim Brotherhood, to Shashi Tharoor dismissing India as a Hindu Pakistan, and several in between painting a dire picture for the future of Muslims in an incipient Hindu Rashtra, viewers. You heard it all.